more and more doubt in regard to what the Chicago Bears are building. This time, more doubt thrown with the Chicago Bears weapons, namely Rome Odunze and Luther Burden. We'll talk a little bit about that, as Rome and Luther both ranked near the bottom of the NFC wide receiver rankings. We'll talk a little bit about that. DeAndre Swift missed ESPN's top 10 running back list, even though the Bears finished as one of the most strong running games in the league last season. So today, we're talking about whether or not the Chicago Bears weapons are actually being disrespected, or why it's just another opportunity for Bears to prove the doubters wrong. Plus, we're going to talk about why Cam Lewis is quietly becoming one of the most important offseason acquisitions, as Kyler Gordon is still not healthy. We're talking about all these things plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content for today, y'all. We're going to start off with this. Rome Odunze and Luther Burden ranked at 7th and 8th in the NFC North rankings of the wide receiver positions. This is via FanSided. This was a little bit unexpected, right? Mainly because, I say a little bit unexpected because we know Rome Odunze was not healthy for a large part of last season. He came back and, didn't really look like himself. And it seems like a lot of these rankings do have recency bias. But then on top of that, the Bears don't have DJ Moore. And so both these guys are going to be thrust into different positions where their consistency needs to be a lot more, right? So with that, FanSided ranked the top 8 wide receivers in the NFC North. Number 1 came in at Justin Jefferson. Number 2 in Amon St. Brown. Number 3, Jameis Williams. Number 4, Jordan Addison. Number 5, Jaden Reed. Number 6, Christian Watson. Number 7, Rome Odunze. Number 8, Luther Burden. Now, here's the thing. I don't expect everybody to believe in the Chicago Bears right away, right? That's why this isn't even, I wouldn't even categorize this as national media hate, right? This is a writer on a pretty large website, but I wouldn't call it national media, right? He does say that the concern around Rome Odunze is that, he's not built the type of chemistry with Caleb Williams yet. And I talked about that a couple of episodes ago. The chemistry between Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, at least in the completion percentage, that type of area, it wasn't there for large parts of last season. That's an objective truth, right? So I'm not going to knock that part of it in regards to it. And I do think that you would expect those guys, as being guys that were drafted together, for them to be a little bit further along right now, right? I think one stat that was used to back that up is that Caleb Williams has an 82.3 QB rating when targeting Rome Odunze over the 2 years that they've played together so far. And so it is a little bit of a concern in regards to that, right? Now, in regards to Luther Burden ranking 8th, I think that just comes with you don't have the sample size with it. Like, Luther Burden had an amazing rookie year. Make no mistake about that, right? But I think Luther Burden, being his first year in the league, there's going to be some rational doubt in regards to, how you rank that amongst players who've just had longer careers and they have more proof of the pudding in regards to that one. So I think a lot of people are excited about what Luther Burden can be this season. DJ Moore getting traded to the Buffalo Bills does also, bring in, because of how consistent he was. So you need somebody to replace that consistency. And now you have to rely on Odunze and Luther Burden to be the top receivers in regards to that one. Rome, who's a solid route runner, right? A solid route runner. His hands have to improve. Luther Burden's an amazing route runner who really doesn't have anything. And you look at the guy, how on those deep passes, how he absolutely burns people and leaves them in the dust. That's great. There's a lot of growing that both these receivers are doing. So it's not something that I'm really tripping off them being ranked this low going into 2026. There's criticism, I think, even that Bears fans, the largest, most optimistic Bears fan, would say, no, there's some reason for some of that doubt around those guys. And it just gives you something that you're going to have to go out there and prove it. And that's something that I continue to love. And y'all know I've been very consistent in that and how I've talked about this team over the years. I love it when you just have to just go out there and prove it on the field. That's it. Just go out there and prove it on the field. When you prove stuff on the field, and if there's still that doubt there after you prove it, then at that point, it's noise that's not worth listening to. But there are some, and that's why we always try to be objective here at Chicago Bears Central. It's like, yeah, it's easy. You say, you're hating on our guys. You're doubting our guys. And it is. I'm not going to say any of that. Like, there is doubt. Now, do I feel like the ranking's a little bit low personally? Yeah. But here's the thing. They're going to have to go out there and show that. They're going to have to go out there and show that this is a ranking that's too low for them. And that's it. As long as they do that, as long as they go and prove, that's all that matters. All this, I get it. I get frustrated by how the national media covers the Bears. I get more frustrated when it's a clear-cut thing that people are overlooking to try to push a narrative. That's what I get. But when there's legitimate reason for doubt, even if I feel like maybe the doubt's a little bit overblown to a degree, I can understand the legitimate reasons to doubt there. And so this team's going to have to go out there and prove it. That's it. Go out there and prove it. And I'm not somebody whoever is going to be not, because again, if you can't go out there and prove it, then what are you doing, right? I think that it just shows that Caleb Williams and these weapons that we have there are going to have to go out there and put in some real work, which reportedly they're doing. The Chicago Bears are not waiting on training camp or anything with that one. The grind does not stop with that one. So reportedly, multiple offensive players in Caleb Williams, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, Jahdae Walker, Colston Loveland have already been seen working out together in USC in California, which is great, right? I love that Caleb Williams is taking the leadership by the horns and guiding this and building that timing and chemistry with these players. That's going to be the thing that could take you over the top. That is going to be the thing. It's these little things. Like, we can talk about training camp, we can talk about coaching, we can talk about all of that, but those are things that everybody in the NFL is doing. When you have these moments where you guys are getting together outside of Haize to be able to go to other places and do that, that's great, right? And so I think that, hearing that they got together even after OTAs, they got together recently again before training camp, this squad is getting together and knowing what they need to do to work on. It's great. This is the core of the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland, that's the core. Jahdae Walker is the guy that's really trying to continue to prove what he's going to bring to this team. And like I said before, Jahdae didn't have a lot of opportunity last year, but I think that's going to be great in regards to that. When you pair that as well, we know that the offensive tackles, Darnell Wright, Theo Benedict, Kieran Amagaje, they're working with Teron Armstead as well. Ozzie Trapillo as well is starting off to do some work in the weight room, as he can't really do all the on-the-field stuff yet. What you're taking from this and what needs to be taken from this is that the Bears' young players, the players that we're hoping are going to be the foundation of what's to come for years and years for the Chicago Bears, they are putting in work in the offseason to continue to develop, to continue to grow, and to turn into hopefully a team that is going to continue to surprise some people. Like, these are the little things that if this team clicks early, these are the little things you're going to go back on. You're going to hear from them say, hey, listen, we worked with Caleb 3 times this offseason outside of OTAs, right before training camp to get that done. It's all about a toolbox, right? That's the way that I like to explain it. I talk about this on Bull Central as well as Bears Central. You want to have a toolbox, and then you want to be able to go in and pull out the tool that you need for that. Chemistry is not just built through OTAs. Chemistry is not just built through training camp. Chemistry is built on how teammates get together, how they vibe on the field, off the field, all that type of stuff. And it seems like this young group who it has to replace DJ Moore's leadership as well. Like, that's another thing. Caleb is really stepping into that role as a leader. And it's not just about talent. It's about timing. It's about chemistry. And that's what I love to see that this team is building in this offseason, is you're building those things out, and it's all being led by Caleb Williams. It's all being led by Caleb. So that's why when people had the doubt and were throwing the thing on, well, Caleb can't be a leader of men if he paints his nails, he's showing that that's wrong. He's showing that that's wrong. He's showing that you can go out there and you can be a leader of this team just by being yourself. And that's how I want Caleb Williams to lead. Is like Caleb came into this situation, came into the NFL talking about legacy, wanting to build a legacy, wanting to be judged by Super Bowls. You don't get that done if you're not taking leadership, the reins of the leadership, and taking that seriously and doing things like this. This is what we see the great leaders of the NFL doing. And then even for the young guys, the Darnell Wrights, Theo Benedict, Kieran Amagaje to go work with Teron Armstead, that's what you want to have. That's what you want to do as well. You got to love hearing this, right? You got also Sam Roush. He's putting in the work with the tight end, going to tight end U and doing all that type of stuff. Like, going into 2026, not only does it feel like we are taking what we did last year, trying to take it to the next step, the next varying degrees on top of that, and even having the responsibility of the coaching staff and the way that they hold themselves accountable and everything like that. Players are also taking their own development to their heart. They're taking their own development under their wing, and they're taking it seriously. And that's not something that we can always say in regards to this one, man. So I love it. I think that what we're developing here as a team and as a culture, right? We're finally building a culture. And that's what you have to do. Now, it all matters what you get on the football field. That's what it all matters. But It seems like we're entering 2026 with a real culture set and a tone set of expectations of brilliance. And that's what you want. That's what you should want to get here. And it also makes the job easier of the coaching staff. You're not going to have to wait till week 2 of training camp for the chemistry to start building, because these guys have done the work to start building their chemistry early on. And you got to love to see that. And again, I can't stress that enough. I love to see what the young players on this team are doing. Everyone from top to bottom. So many young players on this team are really taking their development to the heart and taking control over their development. And we're going to see the results of that once the football season starts. And I personally love that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Hearing all of that, let me know what you guys think. With that said, I want to talk about Cam Lewis and why Cam Lewis is starting to become even more important of an acquisition for the Chicago Bears, right? The Bears are about to enter into training camp. We're about to go into training camp. And one of the biggest questions in training camp is going to be the health of Kyler Gordon, right? And we are starting to get to the point, I feel now, where you have to start being concerned about the health of Kyler Gordon. Now, I would say this. Let's say we get a week into training camp and they say, hey, listen, Kyler's full go. He's ready to go. We're good, right? That's great. That's great. And that could very well be here. So I'm not trying to fearmonger, say we need to be hugely worried about it right now, but you're starting to get to that place where people are going to rightfully so be asking, what's the health of Kyler Gordon? What is Kyler Gordon looking like? And as it stands right now, with him having another soft tissue injury right now, those aren't ones that just go away, right? And they continue to be a problem. And the only thing that really solves that is rest. So if we are going into a training camp where Kyler Gordon's soft tissue injury is still a problem, it means that he's going to be missing reps. It means that he's going to be missing chemistry building. It means he's going to be missing a lot. Now, that's fine. You want him to get healthy, but it is going to put a bigger spotlight on Cam Lewis, right? When we brought in Cam Lewis, the initial thought was this provides so much depth for what the Chicago Bears can bring, right? But I think when you look at it now, as you go into training camp, Cam Lewis may be in a position that maybe a lot of Bears fans didn't think him doing. And that is, he could be thrust to getting a lot of those nickel snaps in training camp until Kyler Gordon is healthy and in preseason. And they're needing to build that chemistry with Jalen Johnson, with Tyreek Stevenson, with Malik Muhammad, with Terrell Smith. You could have to be put in position to do that, right? Because now you're coming into your first training camp with this team, already needing to learn the system, already needing to do that. But the thing is that there's so much that's needed from the nickel and Dennis Allen's defensive scheme that it's in such an important role. And I don't mean to talk endlessly about the health of Kyler Gordon. I don't mean to do that, right? But I do mean what we do need to realize, the nickel is so important to what Dennis Allen wants to do, that Cam Lewis is now walking into a situation where he was looked at as the insurance policy, and he may not be the insurance policy. He may be right there ready to replace Kyler Gordon if he's not fully healthy, right? And that's just the reality of it. Now, in regards to that, somebody asked in regards to what Cam Lewis's role could be with this, and he said this: I think he could be, but I view him more as a true safety. However, he does have the versatility to go into the slot, so I would say yes, but lightly. Depending on the scheme that Chicago runs, that's where it could be a difference maker. He's only known as a 4-2-5 under Sean McDermott, and he was more of a zone type of guy. If he is used in that role, he should be just fine. So we're going to see, right? We're going to see what's going to happen in regards to that. But Cam Lewis is a guy that now is he's in one of the most important situations. He's in one of the most important situations at a important position for the Chicago Bears. If he's used correctly, yeah, he can be a great insurance policy, and he can be a great guy that can be used in safety. He can be used at cornerback, but we may be forced to put him in a position where we have to look at him as just a slot, a nickel corner, because we don't have the depth that we have before. And the Bears, I like what they did here, because they're going into now training camp with more depth at the corner, because you understand how ravaged you were by injuries at that cornerback spot last year. You cannot afford to have another year of that. You just can't, right? So whether it's Malik Muhammad, whether it's Terrell Smith, whether it's Jalen Jones, whether it's Dallas Flowers, or whoever it ends up being, you're going to need guys to step up in that cornerback room, because we can't be caught like we were last year. And it sucks. Like, it's good that Jalen Johnson is fully healthy. That's amazing. I love to hear that. I love Jalen Johnson being healthy because of what that means. It's good to have a guy with upside like Malik Muhammad, because we've seen it and talked about what Malik Muhammad could turn into. It's good to push a guy like Tyreek Stevenson. But Kyler Gordon is such a unique talent on this team. How he's using run blitzing, pass blitzing, can line up as a linebacker sometimes. These are what's asked of the nickel position under Dennis Allen. So having a guy like Cam that's there ready to step in, I think it's huge. Now, Josh Blackwell, I think, is going to play a little bit in that too, but you're going to see a lot of guys kind of rotate in and out, and do not be surprised whether it's in training camp, whether it's in preseason, if we see different guys tried out at the nickel if Kyler Gordon ends up not being healthy. Now, the biggest thing the biggest thing that we should hope for is that Kyler Gordon gets healthy and we don't have to worry about that. He's healthy by the start of the season. We get our Spider-Man back. We don't have to worry about, who's going to step in or the lack of position, the lack of production, because a healthy Kyler Gordon makes so much of a difference for this team. But it's been now over a year since we saw it. Kyler Gordon was not himself at any point last season. And I just don't like the fear of going into another season where Kyler Gordon is still not himself for the majority of the year. It's going to be there. It's going to be a problem in regards to that one, right? When you look at it, Cam Lewis last year allowed opposing quarterback rating of only 82.5, which is more than great to play the slot corner. That's a really great to play that, right? He also allowed a career low in yards per target in 5.6. When you compare that, Kyler Gordon allows 8.3 yards per target for his career, and he allows a QB rating of 103.3. But again, it's not just all about the QB rating with Kyler Gordon. That's why I say he does so many other things at that nickel position other than just guarding wide receivers. But Cam Lewis sets up and has a route to be an important weapon here for the Chicago Bears, and let's see what happens in regards to that. All right, last topic of the day before we get up out of here. DeAndre Swift did not make ESPN's list of the top 10 running backs in the league. Now, of course, he was splitting the workload with Kyle Monangai last year. DeAndre Swift did have 1,386 scrimmage yards and 10 combined touchdowns as well. And look, you saw the improved offensive line plus the way that Ben Johnson understood how to use DeAndre Swift. It was great, but he was unable to crack the top 10 rankings. I don't think that's here. Like when you look at the top 10 guys, not everything is a slight. When you look, who are you going to put above them? When you look at the top 10 guys, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Devon Arcane, Kenneth Walker III, and Breece Hall. Who are you putting those guys above? Who you put him above? Now, he did receive an honorable mention, which I think is good. That's about where I would put DeAndre Swift, is an honorable mention, because it's not just about DeAndre in the running game for the Chicago Bears. It's about that two-headed monster. Now, I do think this season they're going to have to find a three-headed monster, because you're going to want to find somebody else that can balance out that a little bit and take some of those carries on. But the Chicago Bears rushing attack was great last year. You had almost 1,800, or you had over 1,800 total yards from DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And Kyle Monangai wasn't even heavily in the game plan to start off the season. So that's perfectly fine. I'm not knocking that at all, right? But like I said, it's because of what this Bears team is looking to do as a unit in that running game that matters. The unit part matters about all of this. And I think if you look at that and you do that well, then that's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take for the Chicago Bears. Do that well, do it consistently, go out there and perform. And we're going to even have Zavion Thomas do some in the running game. You're still going to have some wide receivers using the running game as well. The Bears rushing attack is going to be one of the best rushing attacks in football as long as they stay healthy, the offensive line holds up, and all those things work out for this team. So I'm not too worried about the individual rankings. That's not it. We don't have that running back on here. We have a tandem of running back that is going to go out there. They're going to work. They're going to put in the motion. They're going to do all that type of stuff. And that's what's important about this team. Like, I as somebody who gets kind of at times frustrated with the national media and the coverage, and sometimes our guys just outright being underrated, some things just aren't being underrated. Some things are just being real. And that's perfectly fine, right? So, again, I wanted to have this conversation on this about both the wide receivers and the running back topic to just say, like, it's fine to be objective and be able to say that your team isn't top 10 in everything. We're not, right? But at the same time, take that, use that as bulletin board material, go out there and prove some things. And all I want this team to do, the motto of this season is, it's all out there on the field. That's it. I don't care about the cheeseheads. I don't give a fuck about them niggas. I don't give a fuck about none of them motherfuckers. At the end of the day, the thing that I care about the most, more than anything else this season when it comes down to it, is what we do on the football field. That's it. Let the national media go the way that the national media is going to go. Let the front runners go the way it's going to go. Let them change, ebb, flow, doubt, whatever it's going to be. But when we're in between those lines, when we're on the football field, what are the Bears doing then? How's Caleb Williams? How's Ben Johnson? How's the defense? Dennis Allen? How's the position coach? Like, what are we doing out there on the football field? That's what matters the most. And we are getting to football games coming soon, y'all. So at some point, all the yapping from me, from the national media, all that got to stop, because then we're going to be able to talk about what we're seeing on the field. And I hope, much like last year, we got to talk about more positive than negative for the first time in the history of this podcast being a thing. We got to talk about more positive than negative. Let's hope that continues for this team heading into next year, because I tell you what, I'm ready for Bears football. I'm ready for some wins. I'm ready for us to have another season of looking at people and saying, who'd you think we were? That's all I got to say in regards to that. Like, who do you think we are? Because we're going to leave it at that. But that's going to do it for today's episode, man. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to hear from you guys, though. How do you feel about Rome Odunze and Luther Burden's ranking in the NFC North as far as the wide receivers in that? Do you think that Cam Lewis is going to be a hitting gem on this defense, even if Kyler Gordon is healthy, with his ability to play the slot, his ability to play the safety, and just being used all over kind of as a gadget player on that defensive side of the ball? And do you think that DeAndre Swift or the Bears running game overall is being a little bit underrated? Let me know that down below. Make sure you guys drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. Send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.